Hi, I'm Glenn Mather, and I'm founder of NuView IRA. And I got to tell you, a lot of people ask me, what is the NuView way? What's the way we do things? How is it a bit different? What was going through my mind when I first started this company? A bit of desperation, I'm afraid. I was a consultant without a company after the tragedy of 9/11. Fact is, although I'd been part of several startups, I had mostly worked in corporate environments. 13 years at Lockheed Missiles and Space Company, and then the corporate strategy world. Those 23 years in business before I started NuView influenced my thinking when we sold our house, moved to Florida, and with God's blessing stepped out to start this company. I knew I wanted to start a business that its basic premise was to help others and add value. It needed to be stable, grow steadily, and not be rocked by ups and downs. Yet somehow I wanted it to reflect important values, not just mine, but all of those that are actively engaged at NuView every day. The first of those is passion. I wanted to be surrounded by passionate people, not those simply going through the motions. In working in the big corporate world, I had to deal with politics and bureaucracy and saw how it got in the way of performance and personal growth. Quite frankly, once someone there rose to a position they felt was important, the majority of their efforts were spent on defending their job rather than moving forward. So often, I've learned from what doesn't work, and I wanted to create an environment, one employee at a time, where someone could rise based on their contribution, desire, and talent, and that passion for their work was rewarded. I only wanted to be around those that were driven, not by their manager, but by their own internal ambition to be their best. That desire for passion I feel every day at NuView. I hear it on the phone when we share the excitement with a client when they do their first deal. It's when the accounting department and the transaction team discuss an issue and solve a challenging problem. It's felt at our client events, when our customers are so excited about meeting a NuView professional for the first time they've only talked to on the phone. It's how our incredible staff always pitch in on projects that may not even be their own responsibility, working late without complaint, knowing the support will be there for them when they need it. Integrity. Recently, an outside consultant visited with the NuView team and assessed how well we were living up to our core values. While we found there were areas for improvement, integrity was scored the highest at NuView. Why I find that so personally rewarding is this. We hold over $1 billion of client management funds. For many of our clients, it represents their entire life savings and is their security based on years of saving and investing. As their custodian, we're responsible to the highest degree that those funds are not misappropriated. We're aware of the financial scandals that plague our industry on a routine basis, how seemingly upright citizens somehow fall prey into using other people's money as their own. Not NuView. It's a fundamental fact that our team members see their roles as a sacred trust. But integrity goes beyond simply being a good custodian. After all, that's simply doing what we're paid to do. Integrity is also what we do with our time. It's how we disclose to our manager when things are not able to get done or shining a light on issues that otherwise might get buried. I recall a time when an employee left us to move on to a new position. He gave us plenty of notice and turned over his work to us, but not all of it. A few days later after he left, several clients called about bills they had requested to be paid that were becoming overdue. After a full office search for the requests, we found several files in the bottom drawer of his desk. Evidently, he wasn't able to complete them before he left and either forgot or chose to leave them in an obscure place. Instead of being able to have a team member stay late for a night to catch up these things, several clients had late charges that NuView stepped in and paid. Integrity is the price to pay in any financial business. And because of its importance at NuView, it reduces the anxiety of our coworkers and our clients. A third element of the NuView way is accountability. Okay, so we have happy, passionate workers who can be absolutely trusted to do the right thing as custodian and administrator. But let's face it, this whole administrative thing is often dealing with lots of transactions, accounting, and record keeping. What could possibly go wrong? Well, yes, there can be errors, things not getting done, poor communication, unclear processes, incomplete training, negligent management, and many other issues. But there's a core value that NuView identified that cuts through all of these problems and eliminates them over time. It's called accountability. That's a word that we often hear from authority figures, likely first from our parents, then perhaps a school teacher, and sometimes a supervisor. As a full-fledged adult, though, I prefer to describe accountability as because I said I would. Years ago on a Southwest Airlines flight, I picked up their in-flight magazine and read an article on exactly that subject. Later, I watched a TED Talk about one man's quest to honor the legacy of his father by spending the rest of his life doing what he promised to do. I realized that I was incredibly guilty of overpromising and underdelivering. The worst part for me, as founder and CEO of NuView, is if I didn't hold myself accountable, my staff wasn't probably going to call me out for it. Missed meetings, deadlines, and other promises were simply replaced by a new promise. Sooner or later, that attitude was seen by my staff, and they start emulating the same behavior. After all, Glenn does, and it seems to work for him. Ugh. So I decided to attempt a change, and like someone who is on a diet or quitting smoking, I made a declaration as to my intent and desire to be accountable, and permitted my staff to call me out when I wasn't. Recently, as we started to implement our new management system, we call it Traction, of course, the whole team embraced the concept of being accountable in every aspect of our business life. It's taking time, but we're making huge strides towards that goal. Imagine working in an environment when someone makes a commitment to get things done, and it gets done. Yes, and when someone messes up, they confess, they make it right with their client, their manager and team member, and then improve the system. Imagine an office filled with accountable professionals. What a great place to work. The challenge with this value is that it must be practiced and practiced daily to get the hang of it. The promise of performance normally doesn't break down simply because you intend not to do it. No, it's more likely that you agree to do something you probably will be unable to deliver, perhaps because you don't have time, or that you simply need a resource that you can't get. The key is never promise to do something unless you have a high degree of confidence that you can and will deliver. The final element in the NuView way is serving others. So we're passionate people who do what we say we're going to do and have high, unquestionable character. Why not stop there? Well, none of these really speak to our mission. They just tell us how we conduct ourselves. But working for NuView must mean something besides a paycheck. Well, it does. And it's all about serving others. Don't get me wrong, NuView is not a company that doesn't have a desire to make a profit. It clearly does, without apology. Yet that objective alone is a bit hollow and short-sighted. It's really more about making an impact. It's changing people's lives. It's giving people hope. It's lending a hand. It's becoming involved in our community. Since NuView started, we pledged that a significant portion of our profits would be dedicated to helping others. But money is not actually the core of serving others. It's volunteering in whatever charity, cause, or even private endeavor that you get engaged with people that need your assistance. About 10 years ago, I was invited on a trip to distribute wheelchairs to Mexico. And from that day forward, I was hooked. And now NuView is active with that charity. We've created our own 501c3 nonprofit called Share the Love that supports all sorts of endeavors for those that lack mobility. In addition, we have an employee-led committee that is constantly on the lookout for new endeavors that we can volunteer together to make a difference. And we love to pitch into anything that our NuView team would want us to be involved in. In the past years, we've worked with Special Olympics, the Harvest Food Bank, the Center for Independent Living, the Russell Home, and many other charities. We love to go on walks and runs for causes as well. There's a power for good that comes from joining forces and creating the energy to help others. The blessings are always the greatest to the giver or participant. I remember holding a stopwatch at the end of the pool for a Special Olympian who took about 3 minutes to swim a single lap. The smile of satisfaction as all of the volunteers from NuView applauded was priceless. And I realized that everyone needs a way to be honored, appreciated, and challenged. Jason will testify that lifting a 5-year-old child born without legs into their first wheelchair and then being tearfully hugged and thanked by her parents, I'm sure he'll never forget that. I'm incredibly blessed every day I'm surrounded by NuView team members who back in 2010 helped us select these core values, the NuView way of passion, integrity, accountability, and service to others. We're not perfect in living these values every day, but we're dedicated to growing our competency in each and every one. It colors our recruiting, our hiring, our training, and how we assess performance. But most of all, I feel that it makes NuView a unique and better place to work. As a fellow team member at NuView, thank you for being such a powerful reason that our values have such meaning.